All right, when you think about the cost of building a house, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably stuff like lumber, nails, drywall, the sticker price. But what if I told you that focusing only on that price tag is one of the most expensive mistakes you can possibly make? Today, we're going to peel back the layers to find out the true cost of construction. So let's just ask it straight up. What is the real cost? Because it's not just about the price tag on the materials. It's about the time it takes, the risks you face, the labor you're paying for, and yeah, it's even the bills you'll be paying for decades to come. Let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to start with what I like to call the building cost illusion. This is that common perception that drives, well, most decisions in construction. But as you're about to see, it can be incredibly misleading. For generations, this has been the go-to. You frame a house with individual pieces of lumber, or sticks. It's what we know, it's everywhere, and because the raw materials seem cheap, pretty much everyone just assumes it's the most cost-effective way to build. This is our starting point. But to really get to the truth, we have to look way beyond that initial material price. That single line item on a quote, it's really just the tip of a very large, and frankly, very expensive iceberg. And this slide right here perfectly illustrates that illusion. If you compare a single 2x4 stud to a single magnesium oxide or MgO panel, yeah, the wood is cheaper, no contest. So on paper, if you're just comparing one piece to another, stick-built looks like the clear winner. But here is the absolute key. You can't compare them that way. See, an MgO panel isn't just one thing. It's your structural framing, your sheathing, your insulation, and your air and vapor barrier all rolled into one factory-made unit. So you're not comparing apples to apples here. It's more like comparing one single apple to an entire fruit basket. So let's keep going and look at how this all plays into the first major hidden cost, time. Because believe me, in construction, every single day has a dollar sign attached to it. For a traditional stick-built home, it can take 3 to 6 months, sometimes even longer, just to get it dried in. That just means the walls and roof are up, so the inside is protected from rain and snow. That is a huge window of time where a lot of things can go wrong. Now check this out. The sheer scale of the difference here is, well, it's incredible. With MgO panels, that same dry-in process can be done in 2 to 6 weeks. We're talking about compressing a half-year job into just over a month. This isn't some small improvement. This is a fundamental change in the speed of building. And what does saving all that time mean for your wallet? Well, it means you pay less interest on your construction loan, you pay for fewer months of builder's risk insurance, you cut way down on supervision costs, and you dramatically reduce the risk of that half-built wooden frame getting soaked by rain, which, with today's crazy weather, is a huge deal. These aren't just numbers. They're real, non-recoverable costs that add up every single day. This huge difference in speed leads us right to our next point, the labor. It's not just about how long the job takes, but how complex the work actually is. It's about building smarter, not just harder. Just think about all the different teams you need for a traditional wall. You've got your framers putting up the studs, then a sheathing crew comes in. After them, you've got the insulation installers, then another crew for the air and vapor barriers. Each one of those steps requires a different crew, a ton of coordination, and a lot of chances for errors as one hands off to the next. Now, compare that whole circus to the MgO panel process. One crew, one component. They lift a panel into place that does all of those jobs at once. And since it's made with precision in a factory, the quality is super consistent. You're basically eliminating multiple steps and multiple chances for human error right there on the job site. So, what's the bottom line here? A massive 25 to 40% reduction in your total labor costs. And look, in an era where there's a serious shortage of skilled construction labor, that's not just a saving, it's an absolute game changer. It means projects can actually get done on time. And let's not forget the risk factor. That long construction phase for a stick-built home leaves all that wood exposed to the elements. It's vulnerable to rain, which can lead to mold and rot before the house is even finished. MgO, on the other hand, doesn't rot, it's mold-resistant, and because the house gets enclosed so fast, its exposure to bad weather is just minimal. Okay, so we've looked at time, we've looked at labor, and we've looked at risk. Now let's pull all of this together and look at the total cost reality. This is where that illusion we talked about finally shatters. So after we consider all these hidden factors that go way, way beyond that initial price tag on materials, where do we land? What's the final verdict on the cost? And this graph says it all. The blue line, that's our stick-built home, our baseline. The orange line is the MgO panel home. Now look at that very first data point, material cost. Just like we said, it starts higher. But then just watch what happens. Labor costs, they plummet. Long-term energy costs are way down. I mean, we're talking potential savings of up to 50% on heating and cooling, all because of that superior insulation. Maintenance costs are lower. Insurance risk is reduced. That initial sticker price was a complete head fake. Here it is, laid out in a simple table. You can see the trade-offs so clearly. You pay a bit more for the material up front, but then you save dramatically on labor, time, energy, maintenance, and risk. When you look at the total life cycle cost, what it costs to not just build, but to actually own the home, the conclusion is just undeniable. And, this isn't just some academic exercise. In the world we live in today, with skilled labor shortages, increasingly unpredictable weather, and skyrocketing insurance premiums, understanding this total cost picture is more critical than ever. The old way of just looking at the price tag is quickly becoming obsolete. So, let's just end on this one idea. The cheapest material is rarely the lowest cost building. It's the perfect way to sum up the difference between just price and true cost. So the question we should be asking isn't what material is cheaper to buy, it should be what system gives us a better, safer, and more affordable building for the long run. The answer to that question could change the way we build everything.